This is going to be an interesting one, right? Because, in fact, let's play the clip and then we'll talk about it. Liverpool legend, and he's a proper legend, Graeme Souness, joined the White and Jordan show yesterday, tried to clear up the old Steady Eddy comments he made about Manchester United's new man, Casemiro.
Please try and understand what I'm saying. You're accusing me of calling him a Steady Eddy. I stand by that. He's a good Steady Eddy. He will hold the fort.
Right.
That's what a Steady Eddy is.
Right.
He's a good player.
But the case
not a great player.
not an average Steady Eddy.
A Steady Eddy is a good player. Steady Eddy is a 7.5, 7 out of 10 every week.
Case you're making... No, when you spoke to us about Casemiro, sorry, Simon, that day you said he's a Steady Eddy, with the inference being he's kind of no more than that.
With your inference, that's how you take it. Steady Eddy, in my language, means he's a 7.5 every week. He is a real team player.
I'm not quite sure why we got a picture of Graeme Souness with an England player standing behind him on the picture on YouTube. Very bizarre. Strange one, that, isn't it? Listen, the Casemiro thing is bizarre. It's all down to interpretation. I don't honestly believe that Graeme Souness thinks he's an average player. I just think he's got his terminology wrong. Steady Eddy is not a great player, and Casemiro is a great player. So he's got it. He's got his phrasing wrong.
You know what Steady Eddy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not being disrespectful, but Steady Eddy in that role, you'd say someone like Mark Noble.
There you go. Yeah.
Prime Steady Eddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always going to get.
Casemiro's not that.
No, Casemiro's a world-class player.
Yeah,
he's won
5 Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
I get it. And
imagine winning 5 Champions Leagues.
The worst argument when people say is, he was the worst out of the 3. What, Toni Kroos and Modric?
Yeah.
We've
said it. It's like being the worst of the front 3 of PSG.
It's ridiculous. But no, he's not a Steady Eddy. He's a good player.
We'll go to the phone lines in a moment. Loads of you on heavy. So I've got a cover written 2 down. Right?
I know one of yours.
Okay, so one of them is Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that one more time, right?
Right now, I know he's a great player, Mohamed Salah. I know that.
No, but you always say that, but there's always a but
because people have put him on the pedestal of being one of the greatest players in the world.
He was at one time.
I don't see that.
No, this season
I don't see
he's got off to a really slow start. But his numbers, since he got to Liverpool, his numbers don't lie.
Okay, I think world class players remain world class. Messi's still doing it.
Yeah, right? He's been unbelievable.
Right, okay, another player. I don't want to dwell on that. I've done the Mohamed Salah thing before. Peter Shilton, right? When I was a kid growing up,
you always hammer Pete.
I never understood the Peter Shilton love affair. It might be because
say the line. Go on. What do you always say to me about Peter?
Well, he's about 6'4". Maradona's 5'4". And Maradona out-jumped him. Took the ball with his fist. I can't explain that. But also in the 1990 World Cup, that was the one where Waddle missed, wasn't it? And Pearce. If you look, it's embarrassing. If you look at if you look on YouTube of the penalties against us with Peter Shilton goal on the penalty shootout, when he dives, not once does his feet come off the floor. It's really, but that might be because he was like 42 or something ridiculous. Maybe, he shouldn't have been in goal for England. Although I think we had Chris Wood. Is it Chris Woods or I haven't even said his name for years? Chris Wood, I think, or Wood. But Peter Shilton, I never really got. But listen, I must be wrong, right? I'm happy to put my hand up and go, I got that wrong because he played 125 times for England. Who are yours?
See, there's difficult ones because when you talk about Steady Eddies and ones that people rated, like someone said Mesut Ozil, and I thought about it and went, but I thought he was sensational when he first came. But some people were like, no, from the get-go. But I think it comes down to the fact, and maybe it's different because I was in it, but there are certain players that you go, really? Like, honestly, you think he's top drawer? Like, I remember some people putting Andy Carroll on this massive pedestal, right? Putting him right up there. And I used to think, because obviously he's a fellow English striker, you look at stats, you look at who you're up against, and you look at it, you think, wow, like, I think he scored double figures once. How? So, I wouldn't say he was a Steady Eddy, but he was one that you look at and go, wow, okay, people are rating him really highly.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll open it up to players that you thought were, when everyone thought they were great, and we'll spin it as well. So players you thought were great, but other people just didn't see it. All right, so we'll get both. We'll get both sides.
I'm pretty sure, obviously being an Arsenal fan, I remember Glenn Helder. I used to really like him.
Okay, well there you go. Prime example.
People used to think he was rubbish.
There you go. A prime example. Just trying to think.
What player? Glenn Helder.
Just trying to think of Man United player. I mean,
but you're a little bit like on Bergkamp, aren't you?
No.
I'm pretty sure you said that.
Of course I'm not on.
No,
Bergkamp was.
Sorry, I apologise. Adrian Durham. He was like on Bergkamp.
Oh, all right. Don't ever get me confused with him.
Bergkamp. Ugh.
No, Bergkamp's world class.
Wow.
Of course, yeah. Let's speak to Jay, he's an Arsenal fan. Hello, Jay.
Hello, guys. How we doing?
Yeah, we're good. How are you?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a controversial one for you.
I know exactly what's coming in.
Go on.
I look at him, every time I watch him on a pitch, I never think, wow. Whenever I see him play for England, I never say, wow. And I'm talking about Harry Kane.
I knew that was coming.
Okay, let me ask you, Jay.
I'm sorry, guys, but look, you can't tell me. Every time recently you've been watching Tottenham, you've not said, "Oh, Harry Kane's that world-class player on that pitch. He really stands out. He's England's number one." It must be me, but I just don't see it. He's a good striker and he gets a fair few goals, but I don't think he's like world class. I'm sorry, but I just don't see it.
See
works for the ball.
What's interesting, right, is with Mohamed Salah, I say I just don't get it, but I sort of think I must be wrong. But with you, you're saying you're not wrong about Harry Kane.
Look, the stats and everything else, they do, as you said, Darren, they do speak for themselves. But when I'm watching it, when I'm physically watching the TV and I think to myself, I don't see what everyone else is seeing when they're raving about him.
Do you know what,
Harry
Jay?
Kane's going to score, he's going to do this. I've not once seen him score a hat-trick when I've been watching Spurs.
Do you know what's mad about that? And good call, Jay. He's not.
Jay.
He's not alone on that.
No,
because how many
that's
times
nuts.
have we sat here and had the conversations and we get loads of people talking about Harry Kane? No, but someone's put a mad one here. Mark from Liverpool. He said Busquets, average player. Busquets. What are we up? Sergio Busquets average.